Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I thought I'd try a different approach for the voiceover, something a little more tutorial-like. I've spoken so much about my love of bokeh from my previous paintings that I think I've probably run out of things to say. So for this painting, I've decided to use burnt umber as my base to prime the canvas. I find that this step helps to accentuate the colours a lot better in comparison to painting on a white background. After sketching the landscape with a chalk, I am now using portrait tone to paint the evening sky. I'm using a wool brush for this process because I find that it's a lot easier to blend for a smooth application compared to a normal paintbrush. I'm applying pale grey in the middle, then I'm going to add pale purple on top to create an evening sky gradient. Don't worry too much about how it looks at the moment. The first layer is usually just to map out the colours, so you'll have a rough idea of how the final picture will be. This process also helps to lessen the intimidation of painting on the blank canvas, especially for larger pieces. For the bottom half, I'm going to use Payne's grey for the sides and a deep grey for the road in the middle. I try to keep the background minimal for bokeh pieces so that the focus will be on the lights. Darken the sides with masked black and dioxazine violet. This will help to adjust the contrast in the painting and the colours will stand out more. Once I'm done with the first layer, I go back on top to work on the sky, applying a more generous amount of paint this time, now that I'm certain with my choice of colours. I've decided to add ivory white into the mix to create a faded glow for the evening sky. I don't usually like to paint plain gradient skies, but I wanted to keep it minimal for this piece. This will require a couple of layers for a smooth blended finish. Just continue to move from left to right and back and forth with a slightly damp wool brush. Always let the paint dry in between layers before the next application. While doing so, I'm going to work on the bottom half, going a shade darker with a thicker coat of paint. Once you're done, go back to the top half for the third layer. Balance the intensity of the colours to match the bottom half. I find that working on separate areas and slowly tying it together allows more room for adjustments. A little more final touches of paint before blending the To create the blurry look, you need to blend every section into one. What we can see now is a clear distinction from the sky and land, so mix both the shades, in this case portrait tone, pale grey with a bit of dioxazine violet, and blend it between till there is no divide. I'm still using a wool brush but a slightly smaller sized one. Once you've got that middle part, smoothen it out by blending the top part of it for a more seamless appearance. Add portrait tone to the top with a bit of Payne's grey and dioxazine violet and blend. With the same technique, blend the edge of the highway as well till there is no clear line in between. I'm going to add a bit of clouds to the sky. I forgot to press record, so I'm kind of halfway through here. Colours used are purple pale, violet grey, and a bit of Prussian blue. Now, I want to blur the clouds as well using the same technique. We blend the edges of the cloud with the background colour of the sky. Use a small wool brush and mix the colour of the cloud and the colour of the sky and blend. Because the sky has a colour gradient, you need to adjust accordingly. It requires a lot more patience, but it'll be satisfying in the end. So remember, you have to blend 3 times. The middle shade between the sky and the cloud, and then the outer part of the middle shade to match the sky, and the inner part of the middle shade to match the cloud. I'm going to add another cloud here on the right side of the canvas to balance the landscape. Apply with the same technique. One of the key features of blurring the background is to create a vague landscape, which in turn allows the imagination to picture it in their own vision. However, we'll add a few characteristics of that particular landscape to identify the subject of what we intended to paint. And in this case, I'm going to add a couple of signboards and street lights so that it resembles a highway. Because this painting has hues of greys and violet, I'm going to mix Payne's grey and a bit of violet grey for the silhouettes. Avoid using mask black by itself here or it will be too dark in contrast to the pastel sky. And again, you need to blend it and blur these objects as well. When working with sharp corners, you need to blend the edges into rounded ones to give it an out-of-focus look. When trying to blend or blur dark colors with lighter ones, it can look a little messy at first, so the key is patience. You have to just keep blending and blending and blending it until it is smooth. If you experience muddying, wait for the paint to dry and then go again. You'll find that it's easier and less messy instead of forcing it by piling paint over paint continuously, especially with two different shades of colors visibly darker or lighter than the other. Over here, I'm using a lighter shade of grey to create lines on the road for some subtle details. Again, take a small wool brush and blend the lines. This part is easier as they are both grey in just different shades. Once that is done, draw two cars on the road. It doesn't have to be detailed, as long as the shape looks just about right. I'm using Payne's grey with a bit of black for the silhouette. After you finish drawing and colouring it, blend the outline of the car again and make sure that there are no sharp edges. This is an up-close view of the blending process. Now that all the blending is done and over with, this is my favourite part, adding the bokeh lights. The colours that I've used for the bokeh lights are a set of warm colours such as yellow mid, orange yellow, orange red, scarlet, rose red, and titanium white. Although they may look like random circles, but these lights originate from somewhere in the picture before it is blurred, so the placing of it has to make sense. Also, the size of it has to be consistent, so it doesn't look messy or all over the place. If there are less circles, the size of it is usually larger or rather proportionate to the landscape. In some subjects, if the object is far away with many lights, the circles are painted smaller. In this case, as the landscape is up close with not too many lights except for the ones from the car, I chose to paint medium-sized circles. For example, these red ones are supposed to resemble the brake lights, suggesting a bit of traffic on the highway. Right now, I'm just painting the placement of the bokeh lights and work on the second layer once I'm satisfied. Some of these colors are not opaque, so you have to paint over it again when the paint is dry to have a more vibrant finish. This last minute white circle is to balance the landscape or else it'll look too heavy on the left side. And now that I'm satisfied with how the bokeh lights are placed, I'm going over the circles again with a second layer of paint. As you can see, the circles look a lot more vibrant and polished after the second coat of paint. And it is finished. I hope you like this demo. This is not my best bokeh work, but I was trying to keep it simple. It's not listed for sale, but as a free gift if you purchase any bokeh landscapes on my Etsy store. Link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye!